Hi everybody, Jo here again. Hope you're keeping well. Now, in our calendar journey, we're here with October, and the inspiration Tracy's given us at the base of the page is the beautiful cauldron. So I thought I'd come in with this little design because I just adore Penelope. And one of our beautiful new stencils, an Ickle Pumpkin and Specter because he's just fabulous. So I'm going to start with my lovely stencil, and this is out of the Autumn Mist collection, Flying Fig. And I blend in the lid always. It does two things, look. It just gets that ink over the whole of the brush and it blends it. Try not to dab it because that almost gives it light and dark areas. Also a little tip with these, I tend to hold this. There's a worry that it might flick up. So for me, I tend to just hold it here, look. And I'm just going to come in using the larger brush. And I'm going to go straight in these corners and add some lovely ink. Then I'm just going down this side. And you can give this two tones, maybe something like the midnight blue, but I just want that a bit lighter, so I'm not going to over ink that. So if I lift that up, quick and easy as that. So that was your Flying Fig. And now we'll come in and stamp Penelope. And I'm going to use the Versafine Clair, the Nocturne. And I'm just going to ink her up. So I'm just going to stand above, and I just want Penelope there. And again, she's a silhouette, so just give that ink time to soak in. You see how that looks lovely when it's just left to soak in. And now we'll come in with Specter. So again, just going to ink him up, and I'm going to put him sort of over here, just on the edge of this shape. And then I've got one of the Ickle Pumpkins now. There's two on here, one with a face and one with a window. So I'm going for the one with the face. And just because I love this shape, I'm going to pop that down here. But I'm also going to stamp that on a little scrap, and then we can decoupage that. And what I'm going to do is just come in with one of my little circle masks just to make the moon. And I want the moon over here. I'm not going to ink up. I'm going to see if I've got enough ink I better have left on my brush. I have, look. And so what I can do is just fuzzy this edge a little bit. So I'm very gently holding it. I'm really tickling. A bit like a cloud just coming across there and there. And again, that's another way of using all that ink on your brush. Now, I've got this lovely stencil called Charming. And in my head, I was thinking, it's flames, look, coming up from the cauldron. So I've already added a little bit of stencil work here, just coming up from the cauldron area. So I want to carry that across now, across here. So if I get my stencil, so it keeps that pattern going. So if I pop that on there, right, happy with that. And the colours I'm going for is the Sahara and a little bit of Russet orange. So I'm going to come in first with the Sahara and blend it in the lid. And where I've got this Sahara here, just to see if I can carry on. And I can go across the pumpkin because we're going to decoupage him. And I want it to go right across the middle of the design. So I'm just going to lift that up and have a look. Yeah, just want a little bit more in here. Then I'm going to come in with my orange brush. Now I'm just going to take what's on my lid and add a little bit down here and then in this corner. And I just feel it'll sort of accentuate that corner. Let's have a look. Yeah. So what we've got is we've got this design here. And I like the design, but it needs those little finishing tricks. And to me, that's just what makes all the difference. So I'm going to come in with this lovely stamp, and this is off Stars 2 Mini. And I've got a few different stars, but I really like this one. It just fitted the bill somehow. And the colours I'm going to use, I've gone for Cheerful and Monarch. So we'll stamp Cheerful first. It's a lovely bright yellow. And you can see I've got a couple here. So if I sort of follow this design, now again, remember, we are decoupaging our pumpkin, so it means I can stamp over him. And I'm thinking just a couple. I don't want to overcook it. So we'll get rid of that colour and then come in with the Monarch, just to keep those purpley tones. And when I stamped down at the base, because this is fainter, I use second generation. So I'm thinking Monarch, we need one in the middle there, don't we? And then I think one there. Definitely need one up here. Now, do we need one there? I'm going to go for it right across. Yeah, that's just enough. Walk away, Mrs. Rice. Enough. I was at a show the other week and a lovely gentleman I was talking to said, I do make him laugh because, and hello, by the way, to all you lovely people who come and said hello. And he said, I do say stop and then I do a bit more. Again, am I the only person who does that? So I'm listening to you, and you're right, I needed to stop then. Lovely. So let's get our pastel pencils out. Now remember, with that stencil, with that ink, you can give it a spritz and you've got a background to go in your journal. So with our pumpkin look, we'll just smudge a little bit of shade, again under Penelope, and then just under the arch here, just to give it a bit more of a 3D look. So again, just smudge that pastel pencil. It'll fix it, but also it just makes it look that more spooky look. And a little bit under Penelope. I mean, if you wanted to make it look like a cloud, you know, look, you could just come in and we could just have a bit of a spooky cloud going across there. So I've got a little bit under there. And then with the yellow, we just add a little bit round the lantern, look. And what I found when I've used the yellow, I use the white to almost smudge it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of highlight on Penelope's hat first, and a little bit on a dress, look. Just where from the moon it would just catch on this side. And then I'm going to come in and smudge that yellow with the white. And we've got that lovely glow. And to me, that just makes all the difference. And we'll add a little bit on Specter. We'll give him a wing there. Just a little bit on his wing. And then here, where we've got that cloud, just going to fuzzy that a little bit more with my white pastel. Two things, it'll just fuzzy it, but also I just think we can take the cloud right across there, look. We've got that nice moody. And again, you can just add as little or as much as you want. I don't want to overcook it with the cloud. Again, I'm learning my lesson, walk away. So that's all I'm going to do with my pastel pencils. But just to show you, we've got a lovely pumpkin here that I've already cut out. And you know me, I'm a bit of a tinker. I don't cut this top bit out. So if I just colour this one in, just show you, again, cheats colouring. So with my Mondelez pencils, 3, 5 and 170. And I just do that little bit where With the red, I just sort of go where I want a bit of shade. So at the top and then at the bottom. Now again, our Mona does the most fabulous colouring with these pencils. She is amazing. And Mona, I missed you last weekend, darling. Can't wait to catch up with you next year. I hope you enjoyed everything we did online, everybody, and I hope you've checked them all out. If you didn't, go back and have a look. Fabulous tutorials from all the creatives. So I'm just going to come in, but as I say, Mona does fabulous colouring with these pencils. I'm afraid I just do a Joe's cheat. So I'm coming in with the orange there. And then I'm going to come in with the yellow. And what I tend to do with the lighter colour, the yellow here, I'll go over all three colours and I use it to blend the colours together. And that just almost gives me that bright highlight. So I've got my lovely pumpkins with a bit of depth from that red. They're mainly orange, but we've got a little bit of light and shade. You all right, Eric? Sorry, Eric's just having a dream. So it just shows you how you can just very quickly. And then all I would do is with one of our green Signo pens, I'm just going to add a little bit at the top there, ready for when I cut it out. And then on our finished one here, again, I'm just going to colour that in with a green. And I've gone for one of my metallic markers just because I want it to show up well over that lovely purple. And if I bring in, you see, now I can just pop that over there and that green will match beautifully. And it'll just help hide the fact that I've decoupaged it. Now again, bippity boppity glue, and a little tip. I used to put the glue on here, but when I'm having a bit of a dropsy time, what I've discovered is when I put the glue, I could easily drop this. So it's easier for me now to put my glue on there and I've less chance of dropping it everywhere. You know, we do these things, don't we? And we just find ways. Now, with my white pen, just going to add a couple of little highlights just as well. I know we've got the pastel, but I just like to add a little bit of the white as well. Just a couple of, not too much. And then just to finish off, the lovely yellow Posca. So we'll give that a nice shake. And then I'm just going to come in, I'm just going to direct it, just following the shape where those stars are. So we've got it along here, over the moon, and it'll show up beautifully on that purple, around Penelope, around the pumpkin. And if I lift this up to show you, so it's actually taken it down. So when I added the stamp in here, I've got some Posca. So look at that. So it just follows beautifully all the way up. And that's what I like about this, just to make it that lovely cohesive design so you can see it all going through. Right, I need a sentiment. And I'm going for express yourself. Because I think Penelope, that's what she's doing. Or is she looking for Specter? Maybe Specter is her, maybe she has him at home. Maybe he's a friend and maybe he's escaped. I was going to say pet. You see, I couldn't think of the word pet. How can you forget the word pet? Or maybe she's just gone out looking and she's heard a noise. But I think October is a real month for expressing yourself now. Am I going... See, I was going to put it up here, but I think it's too near the October. And I think it just follows that line there. So that's where I'm going to go. I shall get rid of that. And as always, I can't wait to see your October month. and see how you create your design. So as always, thank you very much for joining me, and I'll pop back and see you again tomorrow. Enjoy your evening and you take care. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.